Hello you guys, my name is Elijah Judah, young activist, short for Young Act, you can call me that. So today I'm going to speak on the subject of alopecia. So if you look up the word alopecia means hair loss. And hair loss typically starts to begin for men around their mid-20s to early 30s. And for women it typically starts to begin about 40 to 50 years old. And the reason I bring this out today is because of the black community and the minority community as a whole, especially involving females, because women, they typically tend to put hair weaves, dye their hair, a relaxer, or even wigs on their heads in order to cover up the natural chemical makeup of the woolly hair. The reason is if we go back to slavery, let's go back to slavery. So back in the 1700s, there was a woman named Sarah Baartman. And Sarah Baartman was actually part of the human zoos. And so the slave owner who owned those human zoos actually raped, beat, and tortured the female behind the scenes when she wasn't in the zoo. And so she actually ended up dying from a sexually transmitted disease, an STD, in the mid-1700s. And so from there on, they actually kept the body on display at a museum. And it took over 200 years until the mid-2000s for them to give a proper burial to this woman. So that just shows you how much they value the black woman as a whole in our society. But it's not being told like that in our society because we're being conditioned to believe that we're not valuable at all. That's why we look at ourselves in the mirror and we don't value one another. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we want to change something about ourselves. If you also take it to the Hispanic culture, for example, in the Hispanic culture, there's a lot of darker skinned individuals that we don't know about because they're not portrayed that much on television. But it's normal for darker skinned individuals to bleach their hair and blonde their hair and put eye contacts in and do whatever they need to do in order to get that white look. Because in this Western hemisphere, if we don't have this white look, if we don't look like the oppressor, then we have a lower chance of being successful in this world, which is terrible and it's so oppressive, and it's that slave mentality. So the first subject I would love to get into is hair weaves. So I have on clothes right now, and let's say I kept these clothes on for a good month or two, maybe even 3 months. I slept in these clothes, I showered with these clothes on, just put a little covering over my clothes. I ate with these clothes, I walked everywhere with these clothes, and I never took these clothes off. That's how black women usually treat their hair when they put hair weaves in. They keep that hair weave in for a very, very, very long time, about 1 to 2 to 3 months. But we wouldn't do that with our clothes because we know that's disgusting. It can create diseases and it can make you sick. But why are we doing that with our hair? It's the exact same thing. You sleep your head on a pillow with fake hair, there's a possibility of keeping that in for so long. It can grow mold and it can also damage your hair, which creates alopecia. So that's another example of how alopecia can damage your natural scalp and give you hair loss because of hair weaves. Another subject I would like to get into would be hair dye and how we dye our hair, because a lot of black men in society nowadays are actually doing that, like the trend of people growing out their dreads and then dyeing the tips a certain type of color, or just dyeing their dreadlocks a full different color. So that's so normal in society, but we don't realize that that's also damaging our hair. Dyeing your hair is also damaging your hair. So when men are out here dyeing their hair and making it look a certain type of color, and same with black women, of course, that have effects to it. For example, if you ever want to go back to the natural color that your hair actually is, it's impossible. There's no dye on this planet that can give you your natural hair back. You either have to cut it off and hope the dye did not damage your roots enough to where your hair actually goes back, or you're just going to have to dye the closest color you possibly can to the original color of your hair, which is almost impossible to do. So on top of all that, hair dye really damages your hair, and it's something that could be permanent depending on if you want to cut it or not. Another example of this would definitely be relaxer, because black men in society, they have gotten out of that, but in the early 1920s and 30s, like for example the famous activists we love and know, Malcolm X, The Temptations, and James Brown, they all had relaxers in their head at one point. And so what we gotta realize is black men, we're so indoctrinated to have that certain type of hair because they need that white look in order to be famous in society or to have a certain type of image in society. And so what we realize is we think it's okay for that to happen. And for black women, that's been happening for hundreds of years. Black women have been relaxing their hair and having that certain look to them in order to appease a certain crowd of people, which is our oppressors. So it always stems back to why this is happening and how this is indoctrination and propaganda onto our people. So if we look at it in modern day terms, even some men are still doing it. For example, we have Miguel, and we have Bruno Mars, who actually used to conk his hair, and we have so many other individuals who conk their hair, relax their hair to make it look a certain type of way. And we don't realize that this is destroying your hair, which is also stemming from alopecia as well, because if you try to grow back your hair and make it look a certain type of way, it can end up making smooth sides on your head to where you actually have hair loss that's occurring at a rapid rate. And I mean, if we look in Hispanic society as well, specifically talking about hair, they also straighten their hair and they also dye their hair as well. And Hispanics also put in the blue eyes and have the complete white look to them, because the thing about society is we believe that if you have your hair into a certain texture, I mean, it's subconsciously, you're subconsciously trying to be somebody you're not. We're jealous of what our oppressor does, but we're not happy for what we do. We don't understand how much value and how much of an asset and a commodity we are to the U.S. and to America as a whole, because we don't understand self-value. We've been indoctrinated to believe we're worthless and we're no better than hoes, drug dealers, pimps, musicians, actors, entertainers, dancing monkeys. Let's look at it like this. So there's a black woman, right? And she's a black little girl, and she's young. I've seen this firsthand. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen this. A dark-skinned black little girl with natural hair, with an afro and everything. She has everything natural. The little kids would be like, "Why is your skin so black? Why are you so dark? Why does your hair look like that?" It's all oppressive, and when that little girl gets older, she's gonna understand that. She's gonna become bitter, and she's gonna be feeling some type of way all the time about her hair and how she looks and about her appearance, instead of just being comfortable with who she is, because she's been judged her entire life over that. And so she'll end up straightening her hair, or she'll end up putting a weave in, or she'll end up dyeing her hair to appease the crowd of people around her that doesn't accept her for who she is. And so, like, we can look at that even as and then, like, it becomes even a cycle more, because if that black little girl gets older and older, she's gonna do the same thing to her daughter. She's gonna put them in hair weave, dye her hair, straighten her hair, and make her have a certain type of image so she doesn't go through what she went through in school. So she's doing subconscious oppression on her daughter, because she's been through it, and she was traumatically treated some type of way when she was growing up in high school and in school in general and in society, because we don't love the black woman. And so she does the exact same thing to her daughter, which still creates a cycle. And so what we don't realize is we need to be able to support one another. We need to be able to help out one another. We need to be able to work with one another and celebrate one another for having natural hair. We don't understand how important that is in society. So many people are trying to be out of the limelight, or trying to do something that everybody else is doing. But if you actually get out of that square, do what you're supposed to be doing, be a leader in your community, be able to have your natural wool and have your natural afro, or have your natural hair out in general, you'll be able to help the next generation behind us and help other people, even older people, understand that it's okay and we can be able to be who we are and not have an issue with it or have insecurities about who we are. And also, I mean, if we think about it, some women actually have tried to go natural. So for example, like, there's been women that try to go natural, but they've had hair weaves in for so long, and they've had dyed hair, and they've done so many different chemical destructions on their hair that they don't realize that if they ever try to, like, cut their hair and try to go natural, people won't support them, because we live in a shallow, superficial society. And so with that, women are scared to cut their hair because they're going to be judged for it. They're going to be looked at some certain type of way. Instead of having the patience to help her and support her through her hair being like that and waiting for it to get to that natural look, we judge her and we make fun of her and talk about her behind her back most of the time, because people are too scared to say something to someone, that we're not actually helping out the people as a whole. So we're just not understanding what we need to be doing as a people. We're not understanding how to work together as a people. And it just sucks to see, because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, this video might not be for everybody, But, you know, anybody who's really touched by this video and who really wants to understand more, you know, I'm going to leave a description below about Sarah Baartman. I'm going to leave a description below about alopecia. And I'm going to leave different descriptions down below about why natural hair would be good for you. And, you know, some people might disagree with this, but I'm just a young man expressing my opinion and expressing what I do as an individual. So, you know, hey, man, power to the people. Thank you for watching the video. And, hey, goodbye.